Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bluddworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today is going to be an unscripted look back at the Best of Dragon Magazine, Volume Number 3. So I am going to claim it right now. This is by far my favorite Best of Dragon Magazine. Really used it extensively back in the back in the early 1980s when it came out. Probably used the original articles as well, but this became something that accompanied our player's handbook, DM's guide, and Unearthed Arcana at the time, as well as the Monster Manual. I mean, this became something that was that we considered to be a major component of our campaign, especially for myself because I was playing at the time an AD&D First Edition, a Halfling Thief, which was my main character for close to 8 or 9 years. So it really became just an essential to have at the table. So without further ado, let me jump right into this particular volume. So here I have the physical copy, and got this as part of that $75 package of all 5 volumes. So it was a really good purchase. And this one, it's really super clean. It's in great condition. The only issue is the price tag on the front cover. This was at one time sold for $3.95. I have no idea when, but this volume came out in 1983. So it actually might have came out before Unearthed Arcana. But anyway, so let's go right into the content of it. So here we have the PDF once again. I utilize PDFs that I find online after I've purchased the physical copy of my older edition stuff. So for those of you out there that might complain about that kind of practice, they're not available anywhere else for sale, or they have them archived in a number of different sources where Dragon Magazine and also Dungeon Magazine are archived online. If you're spending the money on the original, then I don't see an issue with finding the PDF someplace out there. So here we go and get right into it. So finishing the races, and we're going to have the Dwarven point of view, followed by the gods of the Dwarves, the Elven point of view, the Halfling point of view, so on and so on, all the way up through half-orcs, breathing life into dragons. And so there's a whole section on dragons, from hatchling all the way up to very ancient. And so an introduction of the fairy dragon, turning evil dragons into armor. Interesting. Playing with classes, so another look at the thief class. Druids are given a closer look. And then cantrips. Cantrips are introduced. They were introduced in Dragon Magazine, but brought again here in the third volume. And again, something that we used extensively. So finishing up the races. So I'm going to go, and this is written by, the Dwarves are written by Roger Moore. Let's see if we have a different writer for each. The elves, I guess they're all, well, we'll see. They are perhaps all written by Roger Moore. the halflings, and here we go with the halfling deities that I, really enjoyed. So we have Sheila, Perry Royal, the Wise, kind of a Druidic deity. You have Averine, the Defender, which super built around defense. So very when he's defending something, it's very very difficult to either crack through his defenses, or but he never attacks first. He's never offensive, always on the defensive, and just a phenomenal defender. Uh, Carioli, blah. Um, don't remember her too much. Now, Brandabaris obviously was the deity that my character ended up following as a not a cleric. He was a thief as well. So this became his kind of patron deity. And they go through Gnomish, the gods of the gnomes, and we have half orcs. So I like the fact that they gave half orcs the option of having half orcish deities instead of either just orcish deities or human deities. So gave them a few, looks like 5. And the only one that rings a bell to me was Luthic, was one that came to mind. I remember it's been very very long time since I've actually read these. And since as they look back, this is why I like to do these videos kind of cold, so it's almost like we're both experiencing looking at this possibly for the first time. Even though for me it goes back 35 plus years. Breathing life into dragons. Let's take a deeper look into this here. So the AD&D Monster Manual describes 12 types of dragons. The Fiend Folio Tomb supplies 6 more. The second major type of dragon article is the one that doesn't try to add to the dragon population, but instead uses the official rules as a foundation for the discussion of aspects of dragondom not covered in the books. So we'll see what they're talking about. So there's neutral dragons. That's not in the monster manual. So we have like crystal type dragons. So crystal, topaz, emerald, sapphire, amethyst, and ruby. Hatching is only the beginning, so raising a baby dragon. So I get some rules about possibly raising and training a dragon. Yeah, we have feeding them, behavior of baby dragons and such. Self-defense for dragons, give them a fighting chance. As if in first edition dragons weren't dangerous enough. Dirty tricks for dragons. Let's see what we have here. It is debatable whether or not dragons' forepaws are prehensile. That is, are they sufficiently flexible and dexterous enough to permit a dragon to grasp things and handle small objects with some ease? If so, this opens up a whole new possibilities. Dragon culture has never been one of tool users, but of robbers and predators preferring to take and steal rather than forage or build, but doesn't mean that dragons could not or would not learn to use implements. Monsters should make use of magic that the guard whenever feasible. A magic ring might fit on a giant's finger, so why not a dragon's claw? Why won't a spell-using dragon be enough of a magic user to employ a wand or a staff? And so they're basically just saying if it's possible, a dragon could be utilizing some of their own treasure items. The fairy dragon. I believe the fairy dragon, if I'm not mistaken, makes its appearance officially in the Monster Manual too. But I'd have to go back and look at that. The fairy dragon has magic user spells and druidic spells. Two tough foes. So we have the steel dragon and the gray dragon. Steel dragon is lawful good, which I believe most of the metallic dragons are. And the gray dragon is chaotic evil. A pretty not well-liked dragon. The gray dragon, Rahab, is hated by dragons as much as hated by all other creatures. Fairly low intelligence. Low intelligence. Let's see, hit dice. It's a very rare number appearing, only one. 12 hit die, so fairly powerful. Might be interesting to use. Evil dragons make good armor. Playing with class. So here we have a thief, a special look at, examining the abilities old and new by Leonard Lekovko. Rest in peace, just recently passed away. Looking at it very briefly, I can already see that there's a chance to set a trap. So instead of just disarming traps or finding and removing traps, they could similarly have the ability to set traps, which makes sense. Is that the only change? That seems to be the only real major change here. Backstabbing can be partially negated if it does not have to be all or nothing affair. Alright, so having some partial effects. Climbing walls can be aided by spikes driven in with a hammer, but this makes Thor's own good sound and can be heard for miles. I'm just scanning it to see if there's anything that really pops out. So the Druid and the DM, Opportunity Knocks Indoors and Out by Tim Lasco. I believe this is where the Druid's cantrips come in. See a Druid with the blowgun. Seems pretty cool. Suggested role changes. Let's see. Some of the role changes below detail possibility for the Druid characters that weren't covered in AD&D rules thoroughly enough. So you have Druid spells. You have character age and aging changes. So 22 plus D4 rather than 18 plus D4. If Sage ability, weapons, the blowgun and blow darts. Yeah, so they do include a new weapon type for them. The scythe is another. Gain spells. So these might be gained spell abilities just automatically, I guess, not level dependent. Bag of beans, so miscellaneous magic specifically for druids. A bag of beans. If a druid is present and casts a hold plant spell using greater mistletoe on the beans while they are being planted, the growth of the beans is halted for 1 round per level of the druid casting the spell. Bag of tricks. If a druid possesses the bag and casts an animal summoning spell on it before pulling out an animal, the druid may name the animal that he wishes to have, providing that the animal is within the range of possibilities for both the bag and the spell. It's not so easy being good. Restrictions and rewards for paladinhood. That's something I'll have to get into and delve a little bit deeper into a bit later on. It's a lot to kick about, so monks deserve more than they have. And again, this is probably before Oriental Adventures came out, and so you kind of see the changes, and I've mentioned this in previous videos as well, that Gary Gygax actually came out and said that you should discard the player's handbook monk and replace it with the monk found in the Oriental Adventures supplement. And so these are probably changes that were taking place and then reprinted into Oriental Adventures when it was released, I believe. So this they're talking about changing the monk class as early as Dragon Magazine issue 53 in 1981. So remember, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons came out between 79 and 80, and so this is the following year, and they're already looking at modifying one of the classes that was included in there. So they probably weren't very happy with it right from the start. A different bard, not quite so hard. Probably not quite so hard to grow the attributes to become a bard. I never really treated bards or thought bards should be a PC class. I always thought that they should be just an NPC or like an expert henchman kind of thing. Cantrips, minor magic of Gary Gygax, and these we used all the time. Any of our magic user characters always had a full complement of cantrips, and we over time developed kind of a persona around using certain ones, and again, this is going back 35 plus years, so I'm not quite recalling exactly the ones that I used on a fairly regular basis, but it was such a great supplement to be added into the game. Cantrips in general were so really gave a just more flair and more of an advantage. To be honest, especially when you're dealing with like first level magic users that might have only had the ability to cast maybe one spell or two spells per day. But so many of these magic, these minor magic spells, turned out to be useful. And we're coming close to the end. Cantrips for illusionists. Spellbook rules for the magic users to read. So the spellbook, when a magic user completes his or her apprenticeship, it is assumed that he or she has one or possibly two spell books. A book of first level spells will certainly be possessed, and there might be a book of cantrips as well. The latter depends on the options of both the DM and the concerned player. And then they go through the rules of two kinds. So the standard book, each of which contains up to 36 cantrips, 24 spells of under 4th level, 16 spells of under 7th level, and 8 spells of 7th, 8th, and 9th level. Traveling books, each of which contains at most 1/4 of the number of spell possibilities contained in the standard book. Cost of spells, a standard spell book costs 1,000 gold pieces for materials plus 100 additional gold pieces per spell level for each spell contained therein. Goes through the physical aspects of the books. I mean, the standard book is approximately 16 inches height, 12 inches wide, and 6 inches thick, so a fairly big volume. Traveling a little bit smaller. This is 6 inches wide, 12 inches tall, 6 inches wide, and 1 inch thick. 9 by 9 by 1 is likewise a good working size. Let's see, creating new challenges. Winged folk. Okay. Oh no, they have different strength modifiers for males and females. The Alchemists by Leonard Lekovko. And again, more of an expert henchman / NPC kind of, rather than a character class. But this is obviously meant to be a character class. The Archer. Pretty much replaced by just weapon specialization by either fighters or rangers later on. And there we have it. So there you have pretty much like a real quick overview over the Best of Dragon Volume 3. Once again, one of my favorite out there, just because of the halfling pantheon that was added in, and the magical cantrips that we utilized very, very often. So, but if you have any questions or comments, or you want me to actually dig deeper into any of these particular articles, please feel free to leave a question or a comment in the comments section. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I'm still pushing for 1,500 by August. I should certainly get there by then, and I will keep on, rolling out these videos a little bit more frequently now that school is just about over. My last day of school is on Friday, and so I begin my summer vacation, and I expect to get far more videos out there once that comes around. So again, thanks for joining. Hope you like this video. I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. I am starting up my my AD&D second edition retro clone, which is 4 gold in glory. Either tonight we're going to come together and potentially start an adventure, or I'm going to wait until the players flesh out the rest of their characters, and we are definitely going to start session number 1 next Wednesday. So if you're looking for a second edition or a second edition clone OSR game to jump into it, I currently have 5 player characters, or 5 players. There's room for 2 more, so if you're interested in that, just drop a comment in the comment section, and I will reach out to you and get you situated with the game, either tonight at 8 p.m. or Eastern time, or sometime next week. All right, thanks for joining. Have a great day.